I think redevelopment has to be very carefully managed, that it doesn't just simply displace an existing retail offer to another bit of the city, leaving the original bit now empty and derelict. So I think there's very careful planning needed behind redevelopment, that it brings new investment that would never come to the city without the opportunity given by that redevelopment, that it creates public space, so Slessor Gardens and I think Waterfront Place are new external areas to Dundee that are very well used. The V&A is going to be very well used. So I think as long as these developments are a positive contribution to the existing city and don't simply displace existing fabric, if you like, then are a very, very positive thing.
High streets are only as good as the people that are using it. And people only use high streets when they're designed with their interests as a priority. So if a high street is made purely as a set of buildings and not considering how people use them, then they'll go into disrepair, they won't be used. And I think people crave human connection, and high streets are a really important space for that.
In my head, originally, I had quite a limited, you go to do higher art, National 5 art, and you have this idea of okay, design is go on Pinterest, look at some lampshades and go, yes, design, let's design a product. Then you realize design is so much more in terms of, I think space design was really interesting, how people interact with just a space, especially before the V&A Dundee building had actually opened. There's a lot of discussion of how are people going to engage with just the building as an entity outside of what the kind of things we're putting in the museum. So that's kind of a very interesting part of pushing our understanding of what design is and what it can do for our understanding of how we engage with our environments.
The high street I grew up next to didn't feel like it was accommodating everybody in the community. And in that sense, I'm meaning young people. It was very much geared towards adults who were doing their shopping, who were paying their bills, but it wasn't accommodating a space for young people to be allowed to be in. You felt if you were there with your friends, you were being judged, or someone was going to get you into trouble even though you weren't doing anything wrong. And so I think if young people were included in that process, that design-led process, and their voices were listened to and used, we would create a space for everybody and not just for a certain population. We're really excited to have you take part in this challenge, and very best of luck to everyone.